Hey everybody, welcome back, and this is Jake Richards covering episode 3 of the step-by-step of painting the Forge World Malcador Infernus. In today's episode, we're covering the chipping effect, my favorite element of doing my tanks. Anyways, by the time this episode is done, you'll see my whole process of creating a nice battle-worn look at this tank. And we start off by applying our chipping color. In this case, I'm going to apply a mixture of a pastel green and ivory color, or off-white if you want to, and I'm going to focus on using a sponge technique to really bring out the effect along the edges or any area that could be exposed to wear and tear on the model. The trick to this method is to apply a little bit of your paint and keep it light and subtle. It looks like it's really bright right now, but keep in mind with acrylic paints that they do dim down as they dry. So I just take my little brush applicator I made out of a pin vise and a piece of sponge and go about adding all the little dots here and there along the ridges of the tank that could either be, from rocks flying up, crewmen touching it, whatever else. It's there. A fun part about this element of the entire process is that, aside from creating interest, it also helps outline the different features of the tank. Rather than just going around edge highlighting with one brush and spending the rest of your life trying to get this models done, it does create a little more of an effect of breaking the model up in different pieces because there is a ton of stuff going on with this model. It takes a little bit of time, but using the sponge is a fun effect to try out. It makes the chipping process quicker, and it saves a lot of time in the long run. Right, once the sponge element of this chipping whole process is in place, I then take out the drying retarder by AK, take a very thin brush like the one you see here, mix up the drying retarder, thin the paint out a bit, and then take the side of it and begin to connect the areas where the sponge hit the side details and just very lightly draw lines across. They don't need to be really stark lines, actually the fainter the better. In this way you can outline where the chips occurred and also create some more contrast between the different, let's say you can see the different elements, the different bolts, the different plating you see there on the model. It brings it all together. Again, it looks really bright and stark, but just wait until we add the metal or the chip color and it all brings it together. I'm not gonna lie, this part does take a long time to do in the model, but it is well worth the effort. It's very fun. You just got to make your peace with it and just go with it. I turn on some audiobooks, just listen to that, or turn on some music, and just go about my day and just get this done. Again, this is the longest part of the entire model. So you could really make or break how much you want to spend on the model itself, make or break yourself, I should say, and just do what you want to do on it. I would say you can't go wrong doing it because it does add a lot more atmosphere and life to the model. It starts looking more and more like a tank. So here we are going to add up the metal color with some German camo black brown and some German gray. The trick is to make it look like it's a darker metal color. I don't like to use just a rust color because I don't know, I have got rust tones in there, but I want to create that nice look of some steel here and there. So take the drying retarder out again, and now we start taking that thin brush and start going around in all the white areas. You don't want to completely fill them up, but you want to make that nice look that there's some chip paint around the exposed metal. And again, you can see now it's starting to really dim it down where we had so much white or that pastel color in there. It makes a nice three-dimensional look. It goes without saying at this point that the amount of time you put into it really helps seal that look that is chipped paint with some exposed metal underneath it. Now, I wouldn't go and fill every chip with this metal color because you're not going to see every chip exposing the underlying steel in a tank. You're going to have some lighter abrasions across the tank, but having that nice filled in area with that metal color really pops the tank and that brings it to life. I enjoy this part. It does take a little bit of time to do, like I said previously, but I think it's well worth it. It really adds a whole other level to your model once you start doing this effect. Once I was happy with the way that my painting the metal areas went, I wanted to do a little something different. So I took some AK Interactive graphite. They have like a chipping color graphite stick, or you could even use a artist graphite color too. And I just went about, aside from being out of focus here, I went about going around some spots. I really wanted to bring home that effect that there's some exposed metal. I didn't hit every spot, but areas where I want to have a little bit of that sheen, that exposed glimmer, I really went and used this. It's a good color to use. It's got that nice metallic effect to it. It's not over the top though, but it really sells it. And last but not least, I begin to add a light, and I stress the word light, application of some rust color here on the exposed metal areas. Now, I'm not going to go overboard with it. I just want to tint the areas with it. And you can see I'm going to go back over with some white spirits and blend it. If you don't blend it, it looks really awkward with a bunch of, rust areas around this tank. It's not a derelict model, or a derelict tank, I should say. Granted, the background of this tank is that they beat the living hell out of it. But it's not out of commission. It's still in use. It's still being worked on. And, it's still seeing a lot of hell on the battlefield. But once you start blending it, it really brings it all together. There's no more that stark pastel color with that, that metal color in it. So overall, it's a very fun process to do. And I encourage everyone to try it out if you're watching this video. And once the blending process is all done, that's all for this video. Again, it's a little bit of a time-consuming process, but I think it's well worth it. It creates a lot of life in the model, and it's a fun thing to really look at once you really accomplish that look. Anyways, that's all for today's episode. Thanks for watching, and if you feel inclined, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps the channel out. And until next time, I'm Jake Richards, and have a good one.